The astrology of mid-July 2025 through August is some of the thickest retrograde astrology that I have seen in some time, and I do not exaggerate when I say that, my friends. We have Mercury going retrograde July 18th at 15 degrees Leo. This will be falling in the second decan. We will be talking about that decan very shortly. I've talked about Mercury retrograde actually before in a recent video, but this is the second video that I will be discussing this retrograde heavily, and there will probably be one more down the line very, very soon. But today, we also need to talk about Saturn retrograde in Aries, Neptune, which has been retrograde in Aries for about 2 weeks now at the recording of this video on July 11th. And Saturn's retrograde begins July 13th, so I'm not sure when I'm releasing this video, but Saturn will then be retrograde during this Mercury retrograde cycle, and Saturn and Neptune will begin their famous first retrograde back into Pisces. Now, this is quite the astrology as we are discussing a lot of things going on in the world, and lately I've been discussing a lot of things going on in the world. And a lot of those things are quite wild, I would say, at the very in the very shortest of words. But today we're going to navigate what these retrogrades are all about. And today we're going to talk about not just the world and some things going on in the world, even though it might be hard to have a conversation around these transits without talking about the world. But we're also going to talk about how this stuff could be affecting us as usual, because my number one goal as an astrologer is to help people understand themselves, understand their transits. And for me, astrology is a tool in which we are living and breathing every day. So we literally live astrology. It is in the here and now, constantly unfolding. And yes, we can look ahead, and yes, we can see what may or may not occur based on potentials and themes. But this is why astrology to me is the reason why I do this for a living, okay? And make YouTube videos and share my heart and soul passionately, because what is going on in the sky reflects what's going on in here, inside. And we cannot forget about that while we are all witnessing what's going on in the world. And yes, every astrologer out there does talk about what's going on in the world right now, because we are at a very, very powerful cosmic reset point, potentially. And I would argue definitely. And the title of this video, I believe, is Cosmic Reset Something, because literally these retrogrades that are happening now, this Mercury retrograde in Leo that will retrograde to, I believe, 4 degrees Leo and go opposite Pluto in Aquarius, which again, that is something else I want to talk to you guys about today. That is a massive opposition for conflict and power dynamics and power, just power generally speaking. We will see on the world stage a lot of what that Mercury opposite Pluto is all about, I feel. So this retrograde is really, really timely for a lot of the things geopolitically that we're seeing, a lot of things that are involving potential escalations of war. And I think this cosmic reset is sort of the beginning of what the new future with these outer planet transits can really start to show us. Now, there's a lot of astrologers actually predicting the rest of July to be one of the most heaviest, shocking months of the year. Now, I'm not an astrologer that's going to stick his neck out and tell you, oh my God, this is when the tsunami is going to come and destroy the earth, or oh my God, this is when we're going to invade this place, or whatever the case may be, you know? But I do feel that these retrogrades are the start of something massive. I do think this is a powerful reversal, a powerful blockage and a delay, but also some kind of a restrictive force that will force certain people, certain governments, certain leaders into a corner to make really, really powerful and important decisions. And this may or may not trigger a lot of things that are to come. And that's something I also think we have to understand about Uranus and Gemini and all of these outer planets, and even Neptune and Saturn, because they're retrograding back into their zodiac signs that they've been in for a while. This is really just a preview of what 2026 is going to be all about. Okay, so that's why looking into our own Gemini parts of our lives and to see what is happening now while it's ingress there, just like when Saturn and Neptune went into Aries, what are the stories playing out for you in the Aries part of your life, in the Gemini part of your life now? Like, we got to keep track, guys. What is Uranus going to be starting to show you in the Gemini part of your life? Because when they retrograde back, we're going to have a moment of review with some old stories in Pisces, with some old stories in Taurus. And on the world stage, we're going to be revisiting some shit involving the Taurus energy with Uranus and involving the Pisces energy with Saturn and Neptune, okay? And what comes in 2026, early 2026, when Saturn and Neptune have their 0-degree conjunction in February, that is really going to be a massive tidal wave of revelation and events and just stuff that happens that really shows us where the future is going. Because right now we're just dipping our toes in. We are exploring, we are witnessing things that are going down and unfolding. And of course, in your own life, guys. And this is kind of where we have to start doing the inner shadow work. So again, I think these retrogrades that are happening mid-July through August, and again, Saturn and Neptune are going to start retrograding until they go back into Pisces throughout the fall, where Mercury is only going to go retrograde until August 11th, and then the post-shadow will last until August 25th. So again, the Mercury retrograde is a much quicker cycle, a much quicker, event, a much quicker assessment and a review about stuff that we need to process, maybe do some shadow work on. And on the world stage, of course, however this manifests, who knows? But we are definitely talking about how we are communicating. And the Leo part of the world's consciousness is very much involving leadership. And the second decan of Leo, which is ruled by the Six of Wands, and it's a Mars-ruled decan, this is definitely highlighting, people who want recognition. We are talking about self-expression, of course, and success. So again, there's a lot of powerful figures that are longing for that recognition. We are talking about success and we are talking about Leo energy. And this Leo moment with Mercury is loosely trining Saturn in Aries. And as Mercury goes further back into the early degrees of Aries, the trines to Saturn and Neptune while they're retrograde will be stronger. And what's going on with Saturn and Neptune? Yeah, in Aries, the sign of Mars, which is the god of war. And yes, we can talk about how Saturn and Neptune do play a role in the current moment of global conflict, anything involving vision and conquest. Okay, that first decan of Aries is again ruled by Mars. So, and we're dealing with the Two of Wands in the tarot, okay, which again, a card of vision, risk-taking, stepping out of comfort zones, conquest, really going for something and really embarking on a new path, a new journey. And Saturn and Neptune in the god of war's home while trining Mercury retrograde, and Saturn and Neptune are retrograde, this is kind of a powerful moment of a reset. This is a powerful moment for things to level out, but also for new revelations to be manifested involving ambitions. Okay, so ambitions can be a dangerous game for some people in the world, right? I mean, just look at Vladimir Putin. Just look at other leaders around the world. Just look at Benjamin Netanyahu. Just look, and I don't care what your politics are, on whose side you're on with all this stuff, but everybody is out for success on the battlefield, success here, like achieving here, my political vision here. Neptune, we're talking about vision. Saturn, the structure and the authority and the discipline that is needed to structure a new vision, to dream something into being. And in our own life, these archetypes and these themes are also very important to track because this stuff is also happening in our own life. But this Mercury retrograde moment, guys, I want to talk to you guys about this today, and how this is also going to be very linked to the Saturn retrograde and the Neptune retrograde, and how all of these retrogrades right now for the middle of the summer going into August, into late summer, how this really is a cosmic reset. This really is a moment where we have an opportunity to review our own lives, to review the Aries part of your life, and to already ask yourself questions. Okay, what did we start to see manifest with Saturn there? What were you trying to structure and build? Like, what are you already seeing there that you need to get more organized with, that you need to, very much get serious with? Okay, because Saturn is all about getting serious and all about commitment. And what are you going to commit yourself to? And what do you need to dissolve, Neptune, to dream something new into being that requires your commitment? And that's something that's really important, guys, because the first decan of Aries with this Two of Wands energy, we're speaking to vision, risk-taking, and stepping out of comfort zones. So this is huge for all of us. And again, really track that Aries part of your life. Please share with me again, for the 1,000th time that I've asked you, what is going on in Aries for you? And now what is going on in Leo for you? Because Leo is that zodiac sign where we are needing courage, where we need to be seen and offer leadership in our life there. And Mercury is going to go retrograde in that second decan ruled by the Six of Wands, which to me, we're discussing rethinking, right? Retrograde, rethinking what it means to be seen, admired, or validated. Issues of ego, pride, and authentic voice are under review. So this Mercury retrograde is very much tied to our voice, our identity. And again, let's talk about the Six of Wands. And then again, that first decan of Leo is ruled by Saturn. And we're dealing with the Five of Wands, which really is about conflict and power struggle in a way. So again, when we get to the opposition to Aquarius with Pluto, and in Pluto, the first decan of Aquarius, we're dealing with, I believe, another Saturn ruled decan, if I'm not mistaken, or it's Venus, maybe. I think it's a Venus ruled decan. And we're dealing with the Five of Swords. So we have the Five of Wands going opposite the Five of Swords, involving the tarot card associations, where Mercury will be retrograde. That's the farthest point it will be retrograde, about 4 degrees Leo. Then it will go direct, and we're dealing with that Five of Wands energy, conflict, power struggle. And then we're dealing with the Five of Swords on the opposite side, which is the decan that Pluto will be in for quite some time, which really actually paints a picture of the moment we're living in collectively. Very Five of Swords in nature, if you ask me. And this is kind of a powerful moment that I think we all need to keep our eyes out for in our own life. Because again, I think there's going to be a conversation to be had around shocking revelations in the way that we're communicating in both the Leo part of our life and that Aquarius part of our lives. And yeah, my friends, I mean, there's a lot going on in the astrology, and this honestly is a really powerful cosmic reset for our lives and what's going on in the world. So I really want you to ask yourself some really serious questions during this retrograde. And we're going to keep talking about this. We're going to keep talking about this retrograde stuff, I think, throughout the summer. So, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already and you're new and you've come to me for the first time, I mean, I would really appreciate subscribing to the channel. If you would do that, like the video, leave some comments, my friends. I want as many comments down below to tell me, anything that you feel these retrogrades could be providing you during this summer or winter if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. But yeah, guys, I mean, we're dealing with a lot of change. And I think when it comes to Mercury retrogrades, again, these are really all about reviews involving thinking, communication, how we interface and interact with the world. We also always have to keep in mind the house topic theme of life that these retrogrades fall in, because that also paints the picture, that tells the story. And I think when we talk about where this retrograde will be falling and how this is a Mars ruled decan, this sense of urgency, this sense of like, I want to be moving forward. I want to be dialoguing. I want to be seen and heard in this part of my life in this moment in time. I think all of us, to be honest with you, in the Leo parts of our lives, we might be having a moment where we really want a mental breakthrough. I think we all want a mental breakthrough in some capacity. I think we all want to kind of shine through and pierce through something that involves the mercurial, which is all about the mind and all about the way we dialogue and all about the back and forths of life. And I think rethinking what it means to be authentic in how we think and how we act and how we speak is very, very important. And again, that word act is also tied into the Aries stuff. So think about what Saturn has taught you in the last couple of months. Think about what Neptune has taught you in the last couple of months, because again, we are looking to act there. We are trying to structure some new vision into being. And Mercury in Leo is also, I think, dealing with a little bit involving vision as well, because of the trine influence, to be honest with you. As soon as Mercury entered Leo, it immediately trined Saturn and Neptune, which means they immediately had a conversation. They immediately were saying to the Leo part of your life, hey, like Saturn and Neptune down here, we also want to communicate something to you in Leo. So Mercury was already striking up a dialogue with that Aries part of your life. So again, and then when it got to 4 degrees Leo, that's when Mercury entered pre-shadow. So again, this Mercury retrograde has a lot to do, in my opinion, with that Aries part of your life. Okay. And I think we really need to get clear on that, because that's really going to help us, I think, during all of the outer planet stories, because they're all linked together. You know, Uranus is talking to the early degrees of Aries. That's a massive outer planet conversation. Pluto is sextiling the early degrees of Aries. That's a massive conversation. Pluto and Uranus are trining each other. A massive conversation. This is the global shift energy. And in our own life, every single client I talk to, okay, we talk about this stuff. And in our own life, this is why it's so important to analyze this. Everybody I talk to, these outer planet shifts are changing their lives in the craziest and most profound ways. And most of it in the best of ways, in really, really great, good ways. But again, this Leo part of our life, I think, is a powerful moment for this cosmic reset as well. So I would argue for 2025, maybe into 2026, whatever Leo is for you, this is huge. And I believe we're going to have a new moon in Leo. Am I wrong with that? Or was that last month? Yeah, we're going to have a new moon in Leo at the end of July during all of these retrogrades. And I think this retrograde moment is going to be birthing something massive. And we have to also keep that in mind. So this Leo part of our life is kind of under the microscope in the biggest of ways, since we had the full moon in Leo over the winter, and probably when we had our last Mercury retrograde in Leo last August, which was really, really profound. But that also had a little bit of the Virgo part of our life involved as well, because that retrograde started, I believe, at 4 degrees Virgo and then went back to only like 23 or 24 degrees Leo, where this Mercury retrograde is happening in the earlier degrees of Leo. So this is a whole other energy, a whole other set of decans, a whole other set of tarot card associations. So again, this Mars influence, this 6 of Wands influence about, again, rethinking the way that we wish to be seen. Okay. So, that totally makes sense. I mean, a lot of us are going through massive identity shifts. Most of us are going through a lot of changes involving our sense of self and who we are, So this is really, really, important, guys. And I really encourage all of you to meditate, to take inventory on your life right now. So really ask yourself these questions. Where have we over-identified with recognition or victory at the expense of truth? Okay, because maybe some of us need a little bit of an ego check. Maybe some of us really need to kind of take a step back from some of the identities and some of the things that we were starting to build for ourselves. I think we all need a little bit of a review on the new version of self that we have kind of been starting to evolve into. And I can say that for myself as well, guys. I mean, I feel I've been going through so many changes, and even now I'm starting to review like some of those changes that I've been like putting into practice. And like, do I really want to go down that road? Do I really want to structure like my life in this particular way? Do I really want to do this particular thing every single day of my life? So we have to really understand like what, and also ask yourself what old version of yourself still needs to be dissolved, and what conversations can you have with yourself that help you, guide this next version of your evolution to be something more solid and structured and authentic. Okay. And that's a key word, authentic. Okay. Now, involving the retrograde, especially Mercury, there could be some silencing going on as well. So also ask yourself, where are you being silenced? If you are being silenced, or is there a part of your life that is trying to prevent you from stopping, from growing rather? Is there someone or some aspect of your life that is preventing you from really stepping into your power? Okay, because power and empowerment is very much front and center, and that includes for shit going on the world stage. That includes people that are initiating conflict and those fighting against conflict, things that are oppressive. So again, we have conflicts in the street left and right with ICE in America, with wars overseas. We have aggressors and we have people who are fighting back now. This is huge for these retrogrades as well, because people are now going into a review mode of things. I also recognized and have noticed that people, when I talk out about the American administration every now and then, when I call out the bullshit sometimes, I'm not getting nearly as much Trump pushback as I used to in the winter. And I think that's because a lot of people who voted for the Trump administration are regretting that. And I really do feel that they don't really know what to do or say or how to defend some of the things going on, or the blatant corruption that is being revealed through what's going on in the world. And again, I think this Mercury opposite Pluto, again, will just further along all of this stuff as well, guys. So again, there is so much that these retrogrades are just beginning to show us in the world. These retrogrades, I believe, are a massive moment for reflection, reviewing. I think this is a massive moment to reassess if we're being authentic. Are we being silenced? How do we overcome this silencing? If we are being silenced, how do we battle through conflict and adversity? How are we examine the early degrees of Aries for you? What has Aries been showing you? What have you been shaping? What have you been building there? What have you been trying to structure there? What is getting serious there? Because now we have an opportunity to backpedal a little bit, to meditate, to contemplate, to rework, to restructure, okay? To go back to the drawing board a little bit. And yes, we're going to be dealing with some old stories in the Pisces part of your life when they retrograde back there, Saturn and Neptune. And yeah, when Uranus goes back into Taurus, which again, this video isn't about Uranus, but again, we're going to have a moment. We're going to have another like 10 months to kind of go through some stuff. And with Saturn and Neptune, we're going to have until February to deal with any sort of reworking and reassessing and restructuring before the massive 0-degree conjunction with Saturn and Neptune in February. So again, my friends, we really have to examine these parts of our lives and rethink what it means to review our commitments, review the things that we need to get disciplined in, reviewing the old versions of self, the illusions in that part of our life that need to be dissolved further, okay? To see the parts of the Aries part of your life. Like, is there anything that's fogging you? Is there anything that is confusing you and deluding you still? Really get clear. And this retrograde might actually make things, maybe, I don't want to say may make things a little bit foggier, but I think this is a powerful opportunity to get clear in the fog and review what's going on. So when these planets go direct again, when they get back into Aries in February into the spring, you can have so much more material to work with. And that's when I really think things are going to start to really show themselves to us in a powerful way. That's when I think we're going to know the truth of where the world stands next year, 2026. This is when the show really, when the curtains really open, is 2026, my friends. And this is a radical time to be alive. But anyway, I think that's all I'm going to talk to you guys about today. I do hope that you could take away some of this commentary and implement it into your own life. I will talk more maybe about the Mercury retrograde, of course. I think I probably will talk more about the Saturn and Neptune retrograde as it unfolds. But I do hope you could take some of this away today, and I hope it was helpful. That being said, this video is over. And once again, if you're new to the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.